Calaroga Shark Media. Hello and welcome to Murder Weekly. This episode is titled Life on the Street.
In the heart of Baltimore, in the dimly lit confines of an interrogation room at the police department, Detective Brauer sat across from a homeless man known only as Marcus. The air was thick with tension, each man sizing up the other. Detective Brauer, a seasoned officer with a keen eye for detail, had seen his share of hard cases, but there was something about Marcus that piqued his interest. Marcus, looking every bit the part of a man who had lived a hard life on the streets, fidgeted nervously. His eyes, weary yet alert, darted around the room as if seeking an escape. Detective Brauer leaned forward, his voice steady and commanding. "Marcus, I need to know what you saw in Echo Alley on the night of September 5th. Marcus hesitated, his lips quivering slightly as he weighed his words. "Echo Alley?" he echoed. "Nothing good ever happens there. You know that, Detective." Detective Brauer nodded slowly, his gaze never leaving Marcus. "I know, but on that night something happened, something bad, and you were there." Marcus shifted uncomfortably, his eyes flicking to the door and then back to Brauer. "I see a lot of things, Detective. The streets, they talk, you know. But people like me, we learn to stay quiet." Brauer's expression softened slightly, but his voice remained firm. "I understand that, Marcus, but a man was killed. We need to find out who did it. I believe you can help us." Marcus looked down, his hands wringing the hem of his tattered coat. I saw them arguing. Two men. It was over some deal gone wrong, I think. I keep to myself, you know. I don't want no trouble. Brauer leaned back, his eyes never leaving Marcus. "Who were they, Marcus? Did you recognize them?" Marcus shook his head. "No, sir, just shadows in the night. But there was anger. And then, one of them fell. The other ran off." Brauer's demeanor shifted as he scribbled notes. "What did you do then?" Marcus swallowed hard. "I ran too. I don't want to be part of no murder." Detective Brauer stood up, pacing the room slowly. "Your information could be vital, Marcus. You've done the right thing by telling me." Marcus looked up, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "You think you can catch him, Detective?" Brauer stopped pacing, turning to face Marcus. "That's what we do. We catch the bad guys, and with your help, we're one step closer." Brauer paced back and forth, his footsteps echoing on the linoleum floor. Every so often he stopped and fixed Marcus with a piercing gaze. "Marcus, son, I've been doing this a long time. I know when someone's holding back. What are you not telling me?" Marcus shifted uneasily. "I told you what I saw. Two guys arguing, that's it." Brauer slammed his hand on the table, causing Marcus to jump. "Don't play games with me, son. A man's life was taken. If you know something, you need to tell me. All of it." The intensity in Brauer's voice resonated in the small room. Marcus, visibly shaken, began to speak, his voice barely above a whisper. I knew the guy who was killed. His name was Tommy. He was like me, you know, living on the streets." Brauer leaned in, his expression softening slightly. "And the man he was arguing with?" Marcus hesitated, then a flood of words spilled out. "It was about some money Tommy said he was owed. The other guy, he didn't want to pay. Things got heated and then he just hit Tommy. He hit him hard and Tommy didn't get up." Brauer's demeanor shifted as he listened. He knew the importance of coaxing the truth gently from a reluctant witness. "You did the right thing by telling me, Marcus. You're not in trouble. We just need to find the man responsible." Marcus nodded, a burden seemingly lifted from his shoulders. I feel guilty, you know. Tommy was a good guy. He didn't deserve that." Brauer placed a comforting hand on Marcus's shoulder. "You're helping to make it right, son. That's what counts." Brauer stopped pacing and leaned on the table. His eyes locked onto Marcus. "You're lying to me, son," he said, his voice firm and unwavering. "There was no other guy. You're the other guy. Why are you lying to me?" Marcus recoiled slightly, his gaze dropping to the table. He was silent for a moment, the weight of the accusation hanging heavily in the air. His hands trembled slightly, betraying his inner turmoil. Detective Brauer continued, his voice a mix of frustration and empathy. "Marcus, I know this isn't easy, but the truth is the only way out of this. You need to tell me what really happened." The room was thick with silence, save for the faint hum of the fluorescent light overhead. Marcus finally looked up, his eyes meeting Brauer's. The barriers began to crumble as he started to speak, his voice a mixture of resignation and fear. It was an accident," Marcus confessed, his voice cracking. "Tommy and we got into an argument. He owed me money and things just got out of hand. I didn't mean for it to happen." Brauer nodded slowly, encouraging Marcus to continue. "What happened next, Marcus?" "We were in the alley and I pushed him. I didn't think he'd fall that hard, but he hit his head and he wasn't moving. I panicked," Marcus explained, tears welling in his eyes. The detective observed Marcus, noting the genuine remorse and fear in his demeanor. Brauer knew that this was a tragic tale of desperation and survival on the harsh streets of Baltimore. "Son, I know you didn't mean for it to end like this, but you did the right thing by telling the truth," Brauer said, his tone softening. In the interrogation room's subdued light, the atmosphere was thick with the gravity of Marcus's confession. Detective Brauer, having coaxed the truth from the reluctant man across from him, slid a piece of paper across the table, a written confession waiting for Marcus's signature. "Marcus, I need you to sign this," Brauer said, his voice calm yet authoritative. He gestured towards the confession with a pen. "It's a step towards making things right. It'll help, son. It's the first step in finding some peace." Marcus looked down at the paper, his eyes tracing over the words that spelled out his guilt. The reality of his actions, now in black and white, seemed to weigh heavily upon him. He picked up the pen.
Murder Weekly is a Calaroga Shark media production, written and hosted by Aidan I. Flanagan, produced by Mark Francis, executive producers Mark Francis and John McDermott. Calaroga Shark Media.